So the boys down at the Bethesda docks have said enough is enough. We're going to unionize. And it's not just QA this time. It's developers, designers, producers, artists, programmers. They've said we have had it and we're going to stick it to the man. And that could be really, really bad or brilliant for video games. At Bethesda, there's 241 of these people that have unionized, but unlike a lot of other unions that have recently formed in the games business, these people include designers, programmers, producers, artists, whatnot, which is a big, important step. This video is not about the specifics of that. Let me just be clear, there are things we don't know. Bethesda's 500 people, this is half of them have said we want to be part of this. Microsoft doesn't have to acknowledge the union, but they have. There are steps unions can take to sort of force a company to recognize them. And if the company doesn't, then it's unfair labor practices, which is a whole rigmarole that I'm sure Microsoft doesn't want to deal with. But in this case, they've said, yeah, we'll recognize these people. That doesn't mean they're going to give them what they want. It just means, yeah, we'll recognize you. Until we really know who signed up, are these really key members that have a lot to lose if the union strikes or makes demands that results in layoffs or firings or whatever? We don't know. But let's just, for the sake of this video, assume it's exactly as people are being excited about. Understandably, on the internet, people have always come at me and been like, you're anti-union. I'm not anti-union. I think unions are great. They're important. Companies are greedy and they're assholes and they're only out for themselves. Organized labor is a very important part of the workforce and how this country got built. I'm all for it. However, there's two paths this could take, so be careful what you wish for, but maybe not. I don't know. Here's the gloom and doom version first. It's not for the companies at all, but for the workers and ultimately for the gamers. The game consumer has shown, especially these days, they don't care about certain aspects of quality. If you look at the most successful games in the market, it's really not about the best graphics, the best animation. It's about social features. It's about good enough being good enough. It's about ease of access, price. If you look at something like Fortnite, which is brilliant, but it's not the sexiest piece of on the surface tech that you see at places like PlayStation. If you look at stuff like Roblox, if you look at stuff like mobile phone games, I just want you to think for a minute. These people who run these companies, Sony is not in the business of winning awards. That's not what they care about. There are individuals there that care about that, but most of the people who are making the calls at companies like Sony, Microsoft, what have you, they just want the ducats and they want a lot of them. And I want you to imagine for a minute if they say, okay, we're the guys at Bethesda, we've unionized, it's going to cost, 3 times more because you're going to start paying for overtime now. We're going to, according to the union, they want to make salaries transparent, which means you may have to pay a lot more money to people to keep things even, to keep people from quitting. Your budgets are going to go through the roof, which means the prices will go up if you want to continue getting games like The Last of Us. And then you're going to see those price hikes passed on to the consumer with more expensive games. Or the quality is going to go down. You think you don't like Starfield now. I love Starfield, by the way. But if you're complaining about Starfield because the engine is old or it doesn't have as much cool shit as you wanted when it launched, well, that's what you're going to get if the studios continue to make the kinds of games they've been making, but now they're unionized because they'll have no choice. The budgets, what are they going to do? The other option is, of course, is to say, fuck it, let's go all in on the Robloxes and Fortnites and Among Us's and spend a lot less money like on these big for a month viral hits, but they still make a lot of money given what they cost, like Lethal Company, which is a blast. These are great games, chained together.
Before I was growing bored, I've concocted a little game.
Content Warning, which just came out, people are loving.
No. Okay, Bog's dead! Bog's dead!
And even Game of the Year contenders like Balatro, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Great game. Great games. But they don't cost that much. The risk ain't that high, and the payoff is massive, right? You could do that. I have a hard time imagining why somebody would stay in the boutique AAA business with unions as they are being proposed. Why would you do that? Especially when historically, most of the success at a big level, at a massive level, not at a winning an award level, not at getting Game of the Year level, but at a profit level, is not coming from the most expensive titles on the market. Here's the good news, though, possibly. Hello, yes, I don't mean to disturb you, but very, very quickly, subscribe, like, yes, of course. If you become a member here, there's all sorts of benefits, you see. Videos you can't see anywhere else, lives you can't see anywhere else. Hell, we're going to watch the Street Fighter movie while I'm high as a kite this weekend. Come on now, but Misfortune's cookies, these are all nasty ass, they taste great, but they're clever and they're rude and they're crude. Wow, cool. Look at them.
Look at them, damn you.
Not for the faint of heart. I'll tell you what, I'm going to pop this one open right now. These are fortune cookies that taste great, but are also filled with all kinds of, kind of more adult, go fuck yourself kind of messages, and they're really funny. I'm going to pop one open for you, just for you right now. But you got to wait till the end of the video to see what it says. But this goes out to you, my friend. They got a whole bunch of different types. Right now, they sent me the Dirty Dozen, the Boozy Dozen back there, and Fortunes Against Humanity. This one's kind of a filthy one. Like, sexy time. Here's your cookie. I'm going to take it. Well, tough little motherfucker. Oh! All right. Looks like the red She-Hulk's. Here's the good news, though. Possibly. I don't know if the medium is able to handle this. I don't know if games are going to be able to be what I'm about to propose. But I want you to think about this. People who make games are blisteringly creative, okay, across the board, regardless of the role you're talking about. Now, what's wrong more often than not when people criticize the game industry, they say things like, well, this will just make video game management be better. It's a management problem. No, it's not a management problem. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm not saying there aren't companies that are poorly managed. That's any company. Of course, that's a problem. It's got nothing to do with this topic, though. Crunch comes because at a certain type of game, I was going to say genre, but a certain, a AAA game has to compete. And the consumer has made it clear that one of the most viable ways to compete in that particular market is with production value and scope. So you can sit around all day and manage that till the cows come home, but these assets still take as long as they take to make, or whether you're talking art assets or programming or any aspect of production. And I've worked with 3 of the best producers in the goddamn business, and we did okay in terms of schedule and crunch and things like that, but there's always things you can't predict. You don't know what's going to be fun until you try it a lot of times. But here's what I think is very interesting and could be absolutely transformative in a great way. I just don't know, which is this. If the gamers make it clear there is money to be made with these AAA games or narrative games or things that aren't kind of like the Fortnites and Robloxes, and studios still want to make them, and there's a big business in making them, we may start to see a standardization of games, a standardization of design, where the studios are told, you only have 16 months to make this game. It is going to be this engine, and it's going to be this tech, and you're going to have a much smaller pen in which to play. And at first that sounds dreadful, right? And we can kind of sort of see that. Certainly I would never accuse Insomniac's games of being dreadful, but out of all the AAA companies right now, they seem to be the best at putting out high quality games, commercial games at a great clip, given how long a lot of these other games are taking. But one of the complaints, and I think it's a valid complaint, and I've certainly made it, is that their formula is, it's been there, done that. It's very non-offensive, not challenging, not unique, but it's fun. It's really good. And the production value is great. But my understanding of how they do that is they are very standardized. They're like, look, this is sort of the basic formula. We have freedom within that formula to go ape shit, but that freedom is limited to time and cost. And at some point, more than other studios or sooner than other studios, we say, that's it. The doors are closed. Let's just create now. Let's just make our content now and get this thing out. And there's a standardization there that is harmful, but also incredibly attractive. And then the question becomes, can the medium support that kind of standardization? And then suddenly the creative folks within the company go, okay, this is what we're working with now. Are we going to be able, with that limit, to blow people's minds, to make content that is incredibly fresh and cool? It may have to come from other areas that we're not used to. We may actually see an evolution of the medium, because people are going to have that limiter, and suddenly the limiter is going to determine the content more. I think that could be amazing. Then you would have it like movies, right? Where I don't know if you'd suddenly have a design document being as important as a screenplay, but you might be a lot more focused on what you can control at a conceptual level and what you can execute, and you know those things that work before you pull the trigger, like a screenplay and like a budget for a movie. And then you're forcing the teams to really focus more than they do now on where they put their creativity. And we may see some really cool shit emerge from that. Now, if I had to guess, my guess would be that we're more likely, because the big money is still in the cheaper to make games, I think we're more likely to see just the studios going, okay, well, we're just not going to make games like that anymore. We're going to see less of those because with the unions, it's too expensive and we can make a lot more money anyway without the risks. So fuck it. We're all in on the Among Us and Fortnite and Roblox and whatnot. But that may not be the case. And I think that would be great, man. God, it would be wonderful to see a standardization of design if that could lead to great creative work being done. The biggest fear is, of course, you just end up with cookie cutter shit and people lose interest. And that's most likely what would happen. But you never know until you try, right? So I'm very fascinated by this journey. I will be watching with, I'm glad I'm on the sidelines because I don't know what I would do if I was sort of in the trenches here. But I'm always pro-worker. I'm always stop greedy fucks from being mean to people. So yay. What is this going to do to the business? I don't fucking know. What's it going to do to our games? I don't fucking know. But I'm looking forward to watching it. I hope you're well. I'll see you soon. Bye. All right, I promised you fortune. Here you go. Miss Fortune's cookies again. Check them out on the internet. Get your own. They're fun. Good for parties. Good for Halloween. Good for, telling people I love you. I want to fuck you, but I'm kind of filthy. Speaking of, Brat, this is for you. This is just for you. I sent you through the screen. Cookie's great. Oh, it's so good. It tastes like a... Oh, gross. Cookie was good, but now it's like stuff's in. Here's your fortune, my friend. If you play your cards right, this isn't the only cookie you'll be eating tonight. I love it. I love it. Miss Fortune's cookies. Thank you for sponsoring the video. Be well, my friends.